Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice.
Hello, and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Meraki Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Meraki_media_management. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin. Super excited to have you guys here today. We are diving into intuition today, finding inspiration within your intuition. I'm going to give you guys some tips about how I do this on a daily basis, how I started doing this from when I was a young age. I'm going to share some stories. I'm going to share some real life experiences that I have been through and how it's really shaped me to who I am today. So I want to start off by asking you guys to leave us an Apple Podcast review. Give me your feedback. Tell me what you want to hear in our upcoming shows. We do record 4 shows at a time. So if you guys even want to DM me some ideas, that is always welcome as well. I come up with these topics based around certain intuitive thoughts that come to me, right, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and I compile them into a note on my phone. So whenever I have, we can call them downloads, right? Whenever I had one of those downloads, I like to add it to the note in my phone, and it really helps me stay focused. It also helps me get back and realigned with my true life purpose, which I believe is to help as many business owners as possible create their ideal client community online. I also believe that my life purpose is to share some of these stories that I have about my life and what I went through at a young age, right? And what I experienced at a young age. It was different from most people, and I find that it's important for me to share some of that with you all so that you can start to tap into that intuition, whether it be however young or old you are, right? This is something that we're all innately born with. I am not some special person. I can tell you guys, I am a regular everyday person. I never thought that I would be where I am today at 25 years old. If you would have met me when I was 20 years old, I would have probably told you to go F yourself if you told me where I was today, right? Like, I would have been like, really? That's a nice joke. I had no self-confidence or self-worth at a young age. I had confidence, but I didn't understand what I could do with my experience. So I was very fortunate to be surrounded by many family members that are very well educated, very knowledgeable in the business world. I did not realize what a benefit that would be to my life at the time. I took full advantage of that when I was young. Many people around me didn't have the resources that I had, and I didn't realize how important that was, honestly, until I went away to college. I had to go all the way to Virginia to realize, wow, I have a great network at home. And then it took me a few years to kind of work through what that intuition was within me. I never really understood it, even though I had watched The Secret with my dad when I was 16, or I was 13 at the time when we first watched that together. I kind of understood it, right? My mom took me to a thing called Silva workshops when I was about 8 and 9 years old. We were taught different types of mindset techniques, which I honestly don't believe with at this point, but at that time they were very progressive, really some of the only types of techniques that were out there at that time for tapping into your intuition, realigning your mindset, and I would say, gaining beneficial mental health practices. So I didn't know that not everyone else experienced life like that. I knew it because my friends at school didn't live the same life as me, but it wasn't the same. I didn't know that actually most people don't do that at such a young age. And that was simply out of the unfortunate experiences that had honestly been thrown my way since I was young. So when I was young, my parents got divorced. My mom and I had to look for new housing. At that time, we weren't really sure where we were going to live. And then after my father died, they ended up getting back together. We ended up moving in with him and spending that time with him prior to him passing. We did not know that he was sick when my mother and I had decided to move back in there. So that was kind of interesting, right? We moved back in and then he gets diagnosed with cancer. And that was when The Secret and all of these other paths had been unfolded for me. And after he had passed when I was 15, again, we were kind of faced with, finding another new location for us. So at the time, we didn't have, the resources to buy a new home. We had just lost my father. Different things happen when you lose someone. And even though, there may be certain things set up for you that takes time, right? Or it's really just, it's a very different experience. It's really a blur, honestly. Even now that I'm 25, I remember bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember everything vividly. I remember going to look at a house that I really wanted to move to. I had found it online. My mom and I found it online. We were looking at it, and I just really wanted to walk through the house. Like, I knew we probably couldn't afford it, but I just wanted to see what it looked like on the inside. And we did that. And I still remember the house. I could tell you, the hardwood floors all throughout the house. I know the exact color. I remember, what the master bedroom and the guest bedroom looks like. I believe it was a 2-bedroom home. The washer and dryer was upstairs in that house. And the kitchen was big and robust. Everything was pretty open floor plan. I think it had a fireplace at the time, garage outside, little yard for our dog Snickers. Snickers is still alive. Anyone that's still wondering, she is amazing. And I have no clue. She's like the oldest dachshund to ever live. I swear I should look it up. She's such a love bug sweetheart. Shout out Snickers. My mom and I are like, okay, this is beautiful, but this is not, she's like, Caitlin, this is not something that we can afford right now. And that was kind of a blow at the time. You're 15, you're like, damn, okay, that's all right, whatever. Like, I'll get over it. And now the house that I live in today is exactly that house. It's actually a little bit bigger. We have hardwood floors throughout, the exact same color hardwood floors. We have the master bedroom in the front of the home. We have the washer and dryer upstairs. We have the open floor plan. We have a garage. I didn't realize that I had manifested all of this since I was 15 for myself until I was actually speaking with my coach at the time. I was sitting in my office upstairs. Now my office is in the basement. Sean is upstairs. And we started talking about this event in my life. And I looked down at the floors and I'm like, wow, that does look exactly like the floors of that house that I looked at when I was 15. And she's like, yeah, because you've been manifesting it since you were 15. And it's wild because I had manifested this house since I was 15. I always wanted to own my own home. I come from a long line of real estate business owners. My grandfather owned a real estate company. And I want to give you guys this example. I'm giving it to you in this vivid detail because this is how you have to think about what you want. This is how you have to think about your dreams. It is so important to know these details so that you can describe what it's going to feel like when all of a sudden you're looking back on your life in 5 years and you're sitting exactly where you thought that you might be. And that's one of the most rewarding feelings you can have in the whole world. It really just let it wash over me. Like, wow, I made it. I did this for myself. I made this happen. Despite all of the things, all of the hardships, right? All of the things that we overcome in life, despite how many, wrong steps I made, I still made it happen. And that's the power within all of you. That is the power within all of us. That is the beauty of this line of work. When you start to tap in to understanding that we are all connected, that we are all one in the sense of universe and us all experiencing this here today, there's a power in that. We all have this innate intuition within each one of us. Like I said, I am not some willy-nilly fantastic manifester, right? I am not that. I was never that. I really, if you would have told me that this would have happened when I was 15, I would have never believed you. Like what I'm saying, how when I was in college, I just would have never thought that this would have been my life. But I had somewhere taken note of, wow, I really would like to have that someday if I could. If I could make that happen for myself, I would really enjoy that. That is exactly what I did, and I was able to accomplish it. And that is why the power of you is the most important part to understanding and really getting clear on what you want. So earlier this week on Monday, I asked you guys to let yourself think about one thing that you could have if you had unlimited resources. What would that be? Like right now, what pops into my head is like, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but that's a part of this, right? It's just letting yourself think about anything that you could ever have. And I've always wanted to own a vineyard in Italy. It's something I've always wanted to do. I don't know why. I don't have this great, robust, knowledge of wine or anything. But when Sean and I traveled to Italy prior to 2020, prior to me starting the business, we went to Verona and it was so beautiful. I loved how slow the lifestyle was. I loved the people we met. I loved the conversations we had. I loved the Italian speaking language. I actually studied Italian in college. So all of these small things, right? Like even me studying Italian in college is like somewhat me manifesting having that vineyard, right? Because my grandmom was Italian. I wanted to understand Italian when I eventually went there. And I did, right? And I did all of these things almost subconsciously, but out of manifesting a life that I hope to create, a life that I aspire to. And that's why I want you guys to try and let yourselves dream with unlimited resources. Like, what would be one thing that you could have in your life if you could have everything and anything? It's such an amazing feeling when you can do that for yourself and give yourself that freedom. So if you're currently listening to this and you want to pull up your phone and you want to go back to Monday's post, I want you to drop in the comments your unlimited resource dream. Right? 1 thing, 2 things, 15 things, if they come to mind, however many you want, drop it in there so that it's written down. It's somewhere that you can visually see it. Maybe you also write it down on a piece of paper, right? Then on Tuesday, I walked you guys through. So now we have this dream. It's right here. It's written down in the comments in the last post. Now I want you to think about how that dream would make you feel. Okay? So I'm going to walk you guys through this. I wake up in the morning. I can feel the Italian sun coming in through my window. The windows are open and there seems to be a soft breeze coming in. I head downstairs to make my morning cappuccino. I walk out onto the terrace where I can overlook this beautiful vineyard. It smells of grapes and just wondrous nature. I can see all of the other vineyards from afar, all of my friends that also have vineyards that are still close by enough to us, but we have enough land where I can look out and I see maybe hundreds of grape trees. Next, I go downstairs and I like to work on my business a little bit. So I do some morning calls, I answer some emails with my cappuccino. I maybe go up and make a little croissant for myself, and then I bring that back downstairs. I finish up work. I have my little girl Bailey with me. And then we decide to go for a before lunch stroll. Sean, Bailey, and I head down into the town where we can walk. We decide to stop at a open restaurant. We get to split some pizza and a bottle of wine at lunch because that's what you do in Italy. Then we get to come back home and we spend the afternoon reading before we go down into the vineyard and we get to stomp the grapes for the rest of the wine that we're going to create for that year. And I feel so infatuated with love, joy, happiness. It's everything that I've created. I can taste the wine that we've made together. When we went to Italy, Sean literally became obsessed with wine. He was speaking to all the sommeliers and he's having the best time trying all the wines. Every restaurant we walked into, another person would like come out of the woodwork to give him another bottle of wine to try. It was like wild. He was like manifesting it while we were there. Sean is, basically the leader of this because he loves the wine, but we get to enjoy it together. And it's really about enjoying the wine, enjoying what we've created together, this life that we've created, all of these things, right, that we've wanted. And we're sitting there looking at each other like, wow, we've gotten it. And that's what I want you guys to think about. This is spoken about by a lot of really great thought leaders. I've listened to a few podcasts where people will do exactly this, where they talk and write out exactly what they want their day to look like. And then in a few years, they can create it because they work backwards, right? You can go in and you can say, okay, it's going to cost me this much to have a vineyard in 10 years. It's going to cost me this much to, get the actual grapevines in. And then maybe we have to hire some people as well because we're not really knowledgeable in harvesting. So we're going to need some support with that. Then maybe we also have to, find a way to get a mortgage, and how much is that going to cost? What's it going to cost us to live there? Do we have to have insurance? Like all of these things, right? But once you create the fun, all of that other BS is easy. All of those other numbers are easy. It comes secondhand because you're like, oh my gosh, well, if I can have everything that I want, then it's really not that hard. Then I can figure that out. On Project Me with Tiffany, she's always like, making money is easy. And I used to get really triggered when she said that, especially when the business wasn't always in the best place, right? Because we all go through those ups and downs, those roller coasters early on. I'm like shaking the phone, like, what do you mean? It's easy to make money. It's so hard. But once you find this alignment, the money comes to you. Once you can get to this good place mentally, physically, let yourself dream, give yourself no judgment, the rest comes so easily. It really does. It's like, oh my gosh, now I can just confront the real big matters in my life, right? Really combat some of those. And then everything else just starts to unfold. It's really miraculous when you start to do work like this and you really let yourself have zero judgment. I hope you guys will follow along and do a manifestation practice exactly like this for yourselves. And if you need any support, you can always send me a DM. We can voice message back and forth. And I am happy to help you guys anywhere that it is possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And then, of course, please leave us an Apple Podcast review. If you haven't yet, leave your Instagram handle in there as well. And we will put you into a pool to win a free $25 gift card to your local coffee shop of your choice. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.